Do you got the joy? Would you say that you are overall living a joy-filled life? Is your life filled with peace, beauty, bliss? Do you do fun things? Do you do relaxing things? Things that make you squeal with delight, or things that make you go, I just put my toes in the hot, warm sand and it feels so good. Joy is one of what I call the 7 essentials for living our best lives as Christian women. And today I'll be sharing 5 tips for how to get more joy in your life. And I'm going to do it right now. Hey ladies, welcome to the Total Thrive podcast. This is where we hang out together and chat about living our best lives as Christian women. I'm Jenna Dexter. I'm a certified Christian life coach, and I am on a mission to ignite women like you to dream bigger, believe in all that is possible, and flourish in your life, your calling, and your God-given destiny. And today, we're talking all about the joy. Joy, 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 downy in my heart. Where? Downy in my heart. Where? Downy in my heart. Did you guys do that one? Any of you who did the Sunday school thing as a kid, you had to have done the joy, joy, joy song, right? Okay, so the word joy is defined as a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. So how much pleasure and happiness would you say that you're experiencing right now? And are you intentionally thinking of ways that you can bring more joy into your life? Now, for our purposes today, when I talk about this idea of living with joy as one of the 7 essentials of Total Thrive, that idea includes living with peace, beauty, and bliss. So, who doesn't want to figure out how to live in bliss all the time, right? And yet the reality is it's difficult to live in any positive state all the time, right? I mean, life ebbs and flows. We go through ups and downs, and small things, if not horrendous things, can happen that just steal our joy. That's just life, Sometimes we have a bad morning and get down about random things going on in our lives. Things that we can overcome and overcome that negative mental path that we're going down if we choose to take those thoughts captive and focus on what is good and lovely and true. All of that goodness. Mastering your mindset, thoughts, and beliefs is one of the 7 essentials of Total Thrive, by the way. So check out episode number 5 for more on that. But sometimes life can really do a number on us, right? Like you might have just gotten a really difficult diagnosis, or you found out your husband cheated on you, or you lost your house, or worse, you lost a loved one and you're grieving the loss of a loved one. I remember a time when trauma had slammed me so badly that I just could not see a life where I could possibly be happy again, where I wasn't just, ravaged with emotional pain and agony. And if that's you right now, just know that God is with you and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. God has a good future for you, girl, and He longs to give you an abundant life full of peace and joy. This season, this too shall pass. It really will. It really will. It really will. Believe that. However, even in the midst of trauma and painful seasons of life, all the more reason to look for ways to add little sparks of joy, peace, beauty, and fun into our lives. So this isn't all about, living in a constant state of bliss, because this side of heaven, that just simply isn't attainable. But, we can strive for that. Perhaps you can live with a lot more of a consistent joy and bliss than you currently do. So my goal is to get us all intentionally looking for ways to add as much joy and bliss into our lives as we can, me included. So now let's talk about 5 practical ways to get our joy on, girl. Number 1, since a thriving relationship with God is the first essential of Total Thrive, it makes sense that the first and foremost way to experience joy in our lives is to get into His presence. Psalm 16:11 says, "You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand there are pleasures forevermore." So, in God's presence there is fullness of joy. Not just some joy, but fullness of joy. So let me ask you this. How much time do you spend in God's presence? I mean, His presence is everywhere all the time. He is always with you, of course. Psalm 139:7 says, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence?" But how often do you actively choose to enter into his presence, just to, be still and meditate on his goodness and his promises and his mad, passionate love for you? Or even just while you're going about your day, you're doing laundry, you're driving the car. Do you actually ever think about his presence, that is with you 24/7, and choose to experience the fullness of joy that brings? Okay, number 2, what do you do for fun? So think about things like, family game night, weekend getaways, hobbies, sports, just taking a walk on a beach or a beautiful trail. But when it comes to a hobby or sport, recently I went through a season of trying to find a new thing, I was trying to find a new thing, some activity that I could get into on a regular basis, have some fun, maybe hang out with some people, maybe exercise. The initial idea was a sport that I could do for exercise as well as fun, because as a sanguine choleric personality temperament, the sanguine in me is motivated by fun, and the choleric in me is motivated by a challenge. So initially looking for a sport where there was both fun and winning involved was kind of my ideal thing. I used to be an avid road cyclist, and I therefore put myself through sheer torture sometimes with the end goal of getting faster, of, staying with my stronger cyclist friends, maybe finishing a 100-mile century faster than I maybe did it before. I literally did a ride called Heartbreak 100, if that's any indication of the torture involved. There was another ride I never did do, but had thought about doing, and it was called Breathless Agony. At any rate, Heartbreak 100 had 8,800 feet of climbing, which, if you don't know, that's a lot of climbing. It's a lot of climbing. And it was hot. So that was super fun. But that was by far my most challenging ride that I'd ever done, and I never planned on doing it again. One time was good enough for me, until my bestie, who had not done it, decided that she wanted to do it the following year, and she sucked me into doing it again. Like, Jen, can we train for Heartbreak 100? I want to do Heartbreak 100. And so I did it again, and at the end of it, she was dying, and she's like, "Why did I do that? I never need to do anything like that again. Thank you." At any rate, I have since hung up my super awesome Cannondale road bike for varying reasons, not the least of which is I don't have time in my life for those types of rides anymore. But I've been trying to find some other kind of a thing. First, I tried my hand at volleyball, but that didn't stick. Then tennis, which I have done in the past, but that didn't stick. And then I'm out at dinner with my family one night, and my nephew is in town. I was in downtown Monterey with my 2 daughters and my son-in-law and my little darling granddaughters, and my nephew from Southern California was visiting. And he brought up pool. He is in a pool league. And when he mentioned pool, it just struck me. It's like, oh yeah, pool, that's a thing that I've always kind of thought of doing. Okay, that's not exercise. Yes, I get that. That's not exercise, but it's a fun thing, and it is a challenge, and it involves winning. So, I'm talking about it with him, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that is something I should do. And he's like, oh, you totally should. And so he starts telling me all about it. He's like, they take all levels. And I'm like, I'm one of those levels. And so I had barely played pool in my life, really. But when I had, I always enjoyed it. And I always kind of wanted to grow in that and play more. And I just never did. And so now I'm thinking, well, maybe this is my thing. Maybe this could be my new thing. And so he's telling me about, they have one here in Monterey. You should go check it out. It's the APA, the American Pool Association. And so I went on the website and I found the little Monterey League, and I messaged the guy there, and I said, I'm considering joining. I'm a beginner, basically, blah, blah, blah. And he responds back. He said, you should come check it out tomorrow night. I go and I check it out the next night, and I'm meeting the people, and I'm just checking it out. Well, the next thing I know, I'm handing him money, and I'm signing up to be a member, and I'm playing in a pool league game. Like, I didn't even practice beforehand. I'm just watching what they're doing, and I'm asking questions, and I didn't even realize that I had the option to go to another table. We had another separate dedicated table for our team where I could have practiced and warmed up. I hadn't played I had played maybe 6 months before that with my dad down at their lodge in their little community there. And before that, it might have been 2 years. Like, I literally could probably count on both hands how many times I've played pool in my life. And here I am suddenly playing in a pool league game. But, of course I didn't win, but I have since then. I have gotten better since then, and it's become my thing. I joke about how I'm becoming a pool shark. Jenna the pool shark. So what do you do for fun, or what can you do for fun? What recreational activities, sports, hobbies could you do that would bring joy into your life? All right, number 3, how about people? What people do you hang out with who bring you joy? As I talked about in the last episode, connection with family and friends and community makes you happier. It simply does. It's actually scientifically proven. So go back and check out that episode if you want to learn more about that. But if you want to add more joy in your life, think about how you can connect more with family and friends and community. One of the things that drew me to road cycling was the community. Around 3 times a week, I met up with my bestie to ride. And usually once or twice a week, I also met up with my cycling club. And there were club meetings and social gatherings. When I did those century bike rides like Heartbreak 100, there were always several other club members doing those rides as well. Now I'm in a pool league where I meet up with a group of people each week. And it's just fun, where I can have a weekly night where I can get together with a group of people who have a common interest that I do, and I can improve my game and, hopefully win. Hopefully win sometimes. I actually have a patch. The first time I won a match, which just happens to rhyme with patch, when my team leader realized it was my very first league game that I had won, he's like, "That was your first game?" I said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, then you get a patch." And he puts a patch down in front of me. It says, "I won my first match" on it. So what an exhilarating thing for a person who likes to win stuff, So that just made me want to play all the more. And I'm like, what other patches can a person win? So, those are just my weekly Wednesday night pool buddies, which are not like my besties or anything. But of course, there are closer friends and family members that are going to bring an even deeper level of joy when we hang out with those people. So what people in your life bring you joy, and what are you doing to facilitate joy-filled experiences with them? Maybe it's time to schedule a bowling night with some friends or family, or, whatever strikes your fancy. When's the last time you've been to a drive-in movie theater? That's fun, right? Okay, number 4, self-care. Now, pretty much anything that you do that brings you joy, peace, fun, and laughter is self-care, right? Because self-care is basically the idea that you're doing, something for you, to care for you, to reset, recharge, and giving yourself the gift of something that you just really enjoy doing. That could be alone time away from people, at a spa, or laying on a beach, doing beauty treatments at home while listening to relaxing music, or reading a book, walking on a trail, shopping. I have to go shopping now. Or getting a latte and people watching. I love going to coffee shops and just, having my latte. Or self-care can be intentionally spending time with people. Just depends on what kind of care yourself is needing, right? Sometimes I don't really feel like I have the time or even the energy to go play pool on a Wednesday night, but I know that it's literally good for me, to get out and do that. I live alone. I work from home. It's good for me to get out and get my pool game going. Self-care isn't selfish as long as it's balanced, right? As long as it's not all about you all the time. Because the more that your family and your friends and your business and your boss and your coworkers, your ministry partners, the more people in your life need you, the more important it is for you to do activities that recharge you and help you give the best version of yourself when you're back to doing all of the doing that needs to be did. Number 5 is beauty. What do you do that brings beauty into your life? If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify video, you've probably noticed the lovely yellow sunflowers that so far have been in every single episode of this podcast video, I believe. They bring beauty to my little place, and they definitely bring me joy with their cheerful, bright color. And, you know, they're just fun. They make me smile. They're a decoration that is both beautiful and joy-filled. And they were pretty cheap at probably, I don't know, Hobby Lobby. These sunflowers just definitely bring me joy. How about a garden? Speaking of fake flowers, makes me think of real flowers. If you have a green thumb, or maybe you want to find out if you have a green thumb, maybe you want to plant some flowers and create a beautiful garden. That could be both a fun hobby that adds beauty to your yard. You know, it's like a fun thing to do that also brings you pleasure and joy just to look at it. How about your clothes? Do you have clothes that you feel beautiful in? Or do you have clothes that simply cover your body? You know, there's both kinds. Because why not have clothes that you feel good in, that you feel joyful in when you actually look at yourself in the mirror, you know? Lord knows you don't have to spend a lot. I've gotten almost all of the jackets and blazers that I wear from Goodwill, including the one I'm wearing right now, little jean jacket I'm wearing right now. I've gotten a Banana Republic jacket from Goodwill. I've gotten an Express jacket that had all the tags still on it. It was still brand new. It's this pink kind of 80s boxy style jacket that's trendy right now. I've gotten so many jackets that I get compliments on all the time for so cheap at Goodwill. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to have clothes that make you feel good and bring you joy. The pink bomber jacket that I wore in the last episode, that one came from ThredUp. If you haven't heard of them, that's a online used clothing store. ThredUp. I'll put a link in the show notes if you're curious about that. I literally spent like $3 on that jacket because I had some rewards or something toward the other $10. So I would have only spent like 13, but I only had to spend 3. So my point is, we're talking about adding beauty to your life in whatever ways that might be. So, you know, through your home decor, your clothes, a garden. Do you love candles? But you forget to ever actually light them and actually experience the beauty and the bliss that they add to your life. Just that little simple thing, I love twinkle lights. I don't think that you can't really see them. Yeah, you can kind of see them back behind me if you're watching the video. But I have twinkle lights. I have 3 sets of twinkle lights around my little place, and I turn them on every single day. And I just like my little twinkle lights. They just make me happy. They bring me joy. When is the last time you watched a beautiful sunset or experienced some other form of God's beauty out in nature and his creation? Like, you know, actually stopped and meditated on the beauty around you. So, how can you incorporate beauty into your life for a deeper sense of joy? And now tell me, which of the 5 practical ways to add joy to our lives was your favorite one today? Tell me in the comment section if you're on YouTube, or answer the Spotify Q&A. As a refresher, we talked about number 1, God's presence, because in his presence is fullness of joy. Number 2, we talked about fun or relaxing activities, hobbies, sports, or anything you can think of that is an activity that brings you joy. Number 3, we talked about people. Intentionally spending time with people in a way that brings joy. Number 4, self-care, things that we do that reset and recharge us, which can be things we do alone or things with others, things that are serene and calming and relaxing, or things that supercharge us and are active. Number 5, beauty, ways that we can add beauty into our lives in a way that brings us joy. So, hey, if you know a woman who could use more joy and bliss in her life, share this episode with her. It's super easy, by the way, to share on any platform. Either look for the 3 little dots, click it, and look for the word share. Or on YouTube desktop, there's a big share button. It says share with a little arrow next to it. And it's sitting right next to that like button, which I'm sure you're going to hit, like obviously, right? And if you subscribe or follow, you won't miss a future episode, because we don't want that. Also, check out the links in the show notes to grab your free Discover Your Purpose guide to learn more about coaching with me and more good stuff. Now off you go, girl. Find ways to add more joy and bliss into your life this week as you endeavor to live your best life as a Christian woman.